Hello everybody, and welcome to day 26 of 28 days to master level chess tactics. We are on the third and final day of clearance, and I'm just going to give you one position for the final test. It's black to move, and you can pause the video now. Let's get into it. So in this position, it's a clear-cut but rather challenging example of clearance with multiple clearances in the combination, but let's just start with the evaluation. All right, so you notice first off from this position that there's a lot of contact between the pieces, the knight, and black has a lot of activity with his minor pieces, these two bishops here, the knight sitting on a rather advanced e4 square. Pawns are equal, materials otherwise equal, but the main general feature of this position is this open h-file. Now, this is where calculation comes into play and applying basic tactics and the idea of clearance as well as blockade, actually, I would say, in this position. All right, so there's some candidate moves, but you really need to do something forcing because of the king position, which is rather exposed. If black moves the knight, then that actually gets in trouble with a discovery or just losing a bishop, so he has to do something forceful. All right, in this position, rook takes h2 is a sudden and forcing variation. Now, if the king takes, then actually you just get a pretty quick checkmate. But if the bishop takes, then this is what makes it a somewhat challenging combination. All right, so there's really no more checks except knight to g3, so that would be the logical follow-up, and that's actually the second clearance of this position. Knight to g3. And of course, the bishop's controlling this square, so the bishop has to take. And now you get this battery of the queen and the rook, and that's the only reason this works is because the king is out of the way. Now, if the bishop goes back, then you have the third clearance of this position. As I said, this is rather clear-cut, but it's a perfect example of multiple clearances within a combination. All right, so rook check, and then basically the only move is the queen has to give itself up. And let's just see. So the queen goes there, and then you get a final checkmate with the bishop controlling these squares. All right, so let's just go back to the beginning of this position and make some general conclusions. Now, clearance, as I said from the first video covering clearance, basically the idea is getting rid of a pawn or a piece on a line or a diagonal to increase the activity. And many times it involves a mating attack against the king, because in order to basically give up a piece for a pawn, then you're really going to have to checkmate. And this is a perfect example, and it predicated on this clear 8th rank, actually, because all the heavy pieces can swing over to h8. All right, so hopefully clearance makes some sense. I didn't mean to move that rook. Hopefully clearance makes some sense to you, and I'll see you in day 27, where we're going to get into the final theme, and we'll cover deflection on the next 2 days and close out the course. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't fret if you got the solution wrong. There will be another time.